Welcome to Movie and a Beer, everyone. This is Dan bringing us in, and we have a fun sci-fi oriented sort of horror film.
Fun?
Sort of. I don't know. It's fun to watch.
Was it?
We totally MST3K'd the whole movie.
I mean, that part was fun.
And that was fun, making fun of it as we went. So we have some friends and wonderful co-hosts and people that have been around for a while now hanging out with us. So who's here at the table tonight?
Thanks for joining us, dear listener. This is Aaron. I'm your hazmat suit expert. Sometimes they disappear. Just saying.
They do.
Go ahead, Blake.
I look forward to your expertise on why they disappear.
Right.
This is Blake. I'm your actors that should be in better roles expert, but they keep making bad decisions expert. Aaron Paul, man, maybe he's just a bad actor.
Yeah, maybe.
And everyone, I am Brian,
You are.
your delirium dream plot device expert.
Plot devices. All right, so we're talking about this movie called Ash. It's a Shudder film. It came out this year in 2025. It stars Eiza Gonzalez.
Isa Gonzalez.
Aaron Paul, who you might know from Breaking Bad.
Isaac Gonzalez, you'll know from Baby Driver. That's
Yeah.
her first role.
I don't know her from anything.
Yeah, and a bunch of other people. And it was
Iko Uwais is from The Raid Redemption.
yes, he's a really good martial artist.
Yeah.
he was like the main actor in those, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was the lead in the first and the second.
And you got to see him do a little martial arts in this.
Little
film.
bit. I started getting giddy, thinking, "Oh, cool! He's gonna go through a whole slum tenant of bad guys and murderers." But nah, he just had a parasite.
And Kate Elliott, Beulah Cole, and Flying Lotus. So we had a discussion like, who the hell is Flying Lotus, and why is he writing, directing, or she writing and directing
Oh, it's he. He plays Davis.
a movie in this
And plays Davis and directs.
and directs and did the score and is an amazing musician because the music's really good.
It's a little too loud.
It's weird. I mean, they pumped it up way louder
Yeah.
than the,
Well, a musician as director, he's going to feature his music.
Yeah.
That's his baby.
That makes sense.
All right, and so earlier this afternoon, early evening, we stopped by Beermongers and picked up some alcoholic beverages based on can art, and we were looking for something that was ashy because the movie's called Ash because it takes place on a planet that's sort of ashy covered because
They
there's a
show
lot of
one
volcanic.
volcano.
Yeah, I mean it's like the lead reaches up and she's like feeling the ash in her fingers and.
Every scene outside of the space station, like there's ash falling out of the atmosphere.
Nonstop.
Nonstop. It's
Not
constant.
really described why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
At least not that we heard
Discerned.
or observed.
Yeah. So the two beers that we absconded with and have imbibed with were a Black IPA called Dark Umbra.
Umbra.
From Oakshire, which is actually a pretty damn good beer from my perspective. It has a great moon on the can, and that's why I picked it out. I was like, oh, it's in space. We're doing space movie tonight, so let's make it happen. And then the second one was a funky sour Saison, which was a collab that Ale Apothecary put out called Little Star. It was the can art. Literally, we saw this in the film. The exact picture that's on the can. It was like, wow, how do we pick that out? And there was also moments in the movie where people were shouting out, "This is the next line," and or just like shouting out stuff, and it's like literally just that happened in the film. So it's that predictable. But that's okay because we enjoyed making fun of it as we watched it as a group.
Let's give the premise of this movie for our listeners
All
so
right.
that they can understand what we're talking
It's a
about.
Shudder production.
That's not the premise.
That-
The lead
that's
the lead character
credits.
wakes up on a mysterious planet to discover that her crewmates have been slaughtered.
They have.
When a man mysteriously arrives to rescue her, and it's a psychological and physical terror.
And she has no memory.
She has no memory that she can figure out. Now, this is a new film, so we don't necessarily want to plot spoil it too bad, but basically it's the thing. I mean, it's baseline. That's what it is.
So as I was watching this, I was thinking like, I remember watching the thing for, 40 episodes ago.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, is there anything that Ash does better than the thing? Because we were looking at direction, we were looking at acting, we were looking at dialogue, we're looking at the lighting, we're looking at the soundtrack,
a lot of lighting changes.
a lot of weird lighting choices.
Yeah.
And it just even feeling invested in the characters and the level of suspense in terms of what is happening and what's going on. The Thing is a masterful film. Like it's so well executed. It's so well done. There's a lot of like practical effects, I believe, in the thing. Almost no CGI, if I can remember. There was like one scene in the very beginning. There was a spaceship.
I always forget about that spaceship.
Yeah, there's a spaceship in the thing.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Aaron.
There's a spaceship in this movie too, but also like the costume design is a little awkward,
weird and awkward. Yeah,
the acting felt a little wooden.
They didn't really buy into it.
Right.
They were acting
and
to act.
and I've got to express that the script was
Weak.
not polished.
Right.
It was super weak.
I mean, I would say the story for this whole film was very confused. I will also say that later in the film, it got more interesting when it kind of revealed what was actually going on.
The actual device as to what was really happening.
But 3/4 of the film, I had no idea what the hell was happening.
Yeah.
I don't
It
know.
was kind of a delirium dream.
Is that a genre or a style or something that current horror films are really glomming onto? Because there's a lot of nun, nurse, female antagonists, scary protagonists and antagonists, like scary spoofy stuff that not spoofy, but just like it's like you don't know what's happening until the very end, and then you like discover how to make it right. And she tried to escape and went to the space station, and then she's
spoilers, Dan. No spoilers.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was rich that Dan was warning against spoilers. He just
And then he does.
Yeah.
Classic. No,
fan.
I think it's just bad storytelling. And I hate to say it that way, but I think if you,
I mean, there seem to be so many holes.
lots of holes.
Lots of holes that I couldn't invest as a viewer, even because it just was confusing. It wasn't like adding this interesting mystery to watching the film. It just was confusing.
And the sad part is that it could have had this interesting mystery. It could have. I think if there was maybe some more a skilled like experience behind the helm. Maybe a little bit, but you were saying maybe some visual storytelling with a little bit of direction.
Well, right. So during the watching, we kind of asked the question: how can you tell the directing is kind of amateurish or bad or first effort at bat? Mm-hmm. And my answer was the script was a little weak.
No more than a little.
I'm trying to be generous.
Yeah.
It's hard to make a movie.
It
It
is.
is.
But when a good director sees the script is a little weak, he
fill it in.
finds a way to fill in those details with visual storytelling.
Right.
And I would say that in this film, that doesn't happen.
No.
It feels like the director was shooting exactly what was on the page.
Yeah.
Without thinking about, okay, what's the impact? How do I enhance the script with my visual storytelling?
That feels like if you were to read something aloud from a book page and you just went the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Yeah.
Like
So
just-
music video. So the person who directed this and was in it is a music producer. And does it feel like a music video? Like how they would approach the storytelling
more
based
symbolism,
on that.
more like use of color and the scene.
And that's how I kind of viewed it, because I'm like, in what I know about the little bit about I know of this film, having watched the preview and then just read a little bit about it before we watched it, and it was like, yeah, this isn't going to be good, but it'll be an interesting watch because it's like they're borrowing from so much.
Yeah.
And nothing's original in this.
It's a pretty film.
It's
I would say it was a well-mounted film. The photography's great, kind of interesting.
99.9% CG, except for the inside the shots.
Okay.
It's like a set, and you don't see the ceiling.
But there are some moments that were really kind of fun and interesting.
Right.
But that doesn't make a story. That doesn't engage an audience.
It's a lot of sizzle, no steak.
Well, in a music video, you're thinking about just like what's the visual effect. How do you carry along with the music and match the same sort of emotional feel and the emotional context of the music? You're not thinking about characters and investing in those characters. You're not thinking about a story arc or necessarily getting an audience to identify with a character. You're not thinking about character development. or the drama of.
I'd say there are a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, I agree.
Okay.
I always think about The Offspring's music video for "Come Out and Play,"
okay.
where the whole song's about like gang violence and fighting each other, and all the imagery is. Please let me make my point. The whole video is just like violence, like snakes biting, dudes punching each other.
Right.
So I'm agreeing with you. I see like getting the visuals, and there's no characters. It's just here's the vibe of the song we're listening to.
And in a music video, like there are some exceptions, I think, but a lot of times it's just like images that match the vibe and kind of carry the imagery forward. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that this director, who I think has maybe a nom de plume, or like a chosen name.
Correct.
I didn't know this director was associated with music videos, but it makes perfect sense because I think it's a slightly different approach, maybe a slightly different skill set that comes into how do you get an audience to care about this character who's woken up and doesn't remember anything and is trying to piece together what are all the events that led to this very confusing situation they find themselves in?
Right.
Most of his credits are composer. Just like glance at IMDb, a lot of it's composer. Some actor, some music, but mostly composer.
Credit to him that he's branching out and he's doing something new. But I also think like this could have been done in a better way.
Yeah, not to pile onto this guy, but I was not real impressed by the music either.
There wasn't a lot of it.
It was a lot of like 1980s synth drones, like through the whole movie.
Like very inspired by what?
No, you're good.
Well, not even John Carpenter. I mean, John Carpenter had a lot of synth in The Thing, but I would say The Thing score was far more interesting than this score.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which was just kind of a series of long synth tones most of the time.
Yeah. But that was appropriate for that time and period because that was, 80s was like it's
I would say that the Thing was fine.
Yeah.
But this film was long synth tones with no variation.
Correct. And maybe that's the style that they were really looking for and what they wanted to go with. Because again, as a music producer and somebody who makes ambient background stuff for a living, you're like, hey, I have this great idea. Let's run with it. I got enough money. Let's back it. And then it's like, this had some big name actors in it. So, I say big, either A to B. I don't know. How would you rate them? Like, has Aaron Paul like a B level? Or
I've never subscribed to the whole A-B level of acting. He picks bad projects. He hasn't been in anything actually good since Breaking Bad. Isa Gonzalez.
He's more of a D-list actor.
D-list.
He picks projects I think that just pay and he finds interesting.
Yeah. He's a Kathy Griffin.
Which there's nothing wrong with.
That's a pretty good comparison, actually.
Yeah. She makes some good, interesting.
She calls herself a D-list actor.
And she
actress.
is.
She's in I Care a Lot, Godzilla vs. Kong. So she's in like profitable stuff. She's in Hobbs and Shaw, the spin-off of Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
So she's in big projects.
Okay, but
everyone else.
we're talking about Jesse Pinkman.
Yes.
Right. Okay. I'll stop then. I guess I don't have any good opinions.
Well, no, that's not what I mean. It's like Kathy Griffin's not.
I was talking about the other actress in the movie.
He was talking about the main lead in
the
main.
Oh,
like
see,
you were so off.
I said the name.
So I'm so out of understanding like who these actresses are. I thought you were still talking about Kathy Griffin this whole time.
I don't know what Kathy Griffin's in. But
She's
then,
not.
let me look up his name. But the guy who's in the Raid Redemption, he's in mostly like foreign films, like martial art films, but he's relatively known in that. And I think the other actors, I haven't seen much. There's nothing major.
But
so if we have to assign letter grades, I guess like B to C, maybe D.
But good direction can get like really strong performances out of any professional actor, I think. And
I would agree with that.
I remember that like there was a really important conversation between two of our protagonists, and like on the screen, what it was just anytime somebody had a line, the view would like flip to that character as they spoke, and they were like 3/4 of the way to the right, and then the other person would speak, and the scene would flip to them, and like they were 3/4 of the way to the right, and it was jarring because we noticed that the
Color.
the color differences between them, and they were speaking to each other, but the colors looked so different between these two people speaking.
Kind of film school,
ostensibly in the same room. We had one person all in these warm kind of peach rose tones, and then the other character was in these like cool purpley blue and they were talking to each other like they were in the same room, but the light was so different.
But they weren't in the same room because he stood up and then walked into.
He was
in a space different from hers.
Open plan space.
Oh my God!
Let's get this again.
Okay. And later in the film, there was another conversation between the
in
her two characters.
Yes.
And their eye lines didn't match, so it looked like both sides of the conversation were shot at different times.
Yeah.
I don't know if that actually happened or not.
No, I think there's some green screen going on.
But it sure looked like they weren't in the same room acting with each other.
Okay, so not the plot spoil. We're not going to plot spoil, but
you always say this right before you plot spoil.
But
cover your ears, listener.
But the end may explain.
Skip ahead 30 seconds.
Why
I agree, and I just realized that myself.
Yeah,
I don't.
That's why he shot it that way.
I don't give them that much credit. No,
because you're like,
no,
okay.
I'm with Aaron. If that's how people took it, that was accidental.
If he did it that way on purpose, it was a failed experiment because it drew all of us out of the film.
Correct. You're looking at what the situation was and not what the actors were doing or the story being told.
I felt several times in this film that the actor and the writer, the director and the writers were, and maybe even the producer, were so familiar with the script that they didn't realize what information the audience was have.
Missing. Yeah, they were missing some stuff.
I like that.
That could happen.
And that does happen. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, from the standpoint of a viewer who has no purview into what this was and what was going on, there was no diegetic, there was no in-house. There were sound effects.
There was the happy fanfare after the surgery robot did its job.
Yeah, the surgery robot had lots of music.
Our favorite character.
The Japanese robot stole the show because it happened multiple times.
It was a medical robot.
And you knew exactly what it was about.
Speaking
you didn't have to infer anything about this robot.
You don't have to have subtitles. Even though it speaks to you in Japanese, you don't have to have subtitles because the screen, when it does show the screen, is in English.
Successful surgery gozaimasu.
And then there's an alien in your head, and it just keeps hitting you with a hammer.
Spoilers, Dan.
I don't know.
I love that robot so much. I want to watch 7 films just about that robot.
I mean, there are
just different failed expeditions with that robot.
So this was a human colonizing a foreign planet plot.
Give me all those movies.
And this was station number 7. So Blake, you probably could have 6 other films in the same universe.
So listeners, keep an eye out for when Brian and I produce and film and write the other
the 7 medical robot.
Yeah. And then we're going to make a crossover called The Magnificent 7. It'll be fine.
Ash 2 through 7.
All the ones that survived and all the alien races that are now out there.
And we're going to have Thanos.
So
exactly.
What if we were to pivot to just first contact movies? And say kind of sci-fi where we meet alien species.
Alien didn't go great for most of that crew.
But I was going to say,
E.T. went pretty well.
What movies?
But Alien didn't have technology. They were just creatures. And I think Aaron might be talking about First Contact. My thing is
my actual question were what movies present that idea really well? Okay. What movies, this First Encounter or
there's
E.T.
Close Encounters. There's E.T. There's Oblivion. It doesn't go so well.
No, it doesn't go well.
What's that sad one with Amy Adams? Arrival?
Yeah.
Arrival's just...
Oh, yeah.
I need to watch that. I've heard it's really,
very good.
Yeah, that was a good film. Yeah.
First Contact versus technology. We're experiencing alien technology. And that happens in a lot of TV shows. That happens in a lot of movies.
Alf.
There's...
Yeah. Yes. The plant. Cyclical of filmmaking.
So I'm just drawing on my whole, I'm not thinking about Star Trek. So Star Trek really pushed what happens when you find alien technology and you should stay away from it and blah, 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 blah.
Is that the first directive or whatever it's called?
Prime Directive.
Prime Directive. Don't mess with it. Don't touch it.
It's not clear. I don't watch that.
And that was actually brought up in this movie where they're like, hey, XYZ happened. We need to get the hell out. And that didn't happen.
Well, there was a conversation about do we follow protocol
or not.
Yeah.
And
They said a
so
swear.
that I guess is a scientific question that we all should ask ourselves. What would happen? It's like, did you find something that's worthwhile, or is it worth the risk?
Well, there is a greedy perspective of like wanting to capitalize on some alien technology. But then there's also kind of maybe it's a metaphor for like AI or some of the other recent innovation that we're grappling with. Like, what's the risk versus reward for this new technology that you have access to?
Correct.
And can you fully assess what the risks are before you decide you want to try and capture or replicate or understand this new technology?
That happens in most sci-fi films and movies and TV shows and all of this stuff. So anything dealing with alien tech, do we embrace it? Do we accept it? Do we adapt it? Or do we just rip it off and like alien species? Here we go. So some of us had a conversation earlier about...
Where was Starship Troopers on this?
I know, right?
In Independence Day, they backwards programmed the tech to work with an Apple product in 1994.
Yes.
F yeah.
America, goddamn America. And then Will Smith saves the day.
Yeah.
No, Randy Quaid helps save the day.
And yet doesn't sacrifice himself, even though he should. He tried to, sort of.
Well, then they would have... I don't know. He was a pretty big star at that point.
So we all sound like we're kind of lukewarm at best on this film.
Oh,
it's fine.
At best.
I said, we MST3K'd the hell out of this.
Yeah, it was fun to make fun of.
Okay, so we enjoyed the evening, but we didn't even necessarily enjoy the movie.
We didn't watch the movie.
No.
We witnessed the movie. We didn't watch the movie.
Yeah. So this premise of waking up and not knowing where you are, I would say there's a BBC sci-fi series called Dark Matter.
Oh yeah,
That does this way better. Really a good series.
That's a book. Blake Crouch, I think, is the author. Yes, not you, Blake. Different Blake. But the book is worthwhile too. For Dark Matter is an excellent book.
You did tell me about this.
Yeah, I did. I read.
But
I have to work. I'm
the
working on my
series
TV read.
is actually great.
Yeah,
At least
I
the
believe
first season or two is really
Nice.
worth watching.
That one's like a multi-dimensional setting, I think. I hope I'm not spoiling it for you or anybody else. But
Yeah, no. I mean, it's cool when that happens. And I was trying
Is it the one where the guy keeps finding himself all over the place?
maybe.
You did lend it to me. That was a really good book.
I did.
Phenomenal.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
It was great.
Did you ever give that book back to me?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I'm so good about giving books back. I
Welcome
moved.
to movie and lend a book. Everyone.
It's not my house.
Let's talk
Okay,
about
I
them
believe you.
books.
But I will take a look because now I feel guilty.
Okay,
So as you can tell, dear listener, we had a couple of drinks.
we had a couple.
I've had a long week.
It's been a long week. We've worked a lot. I did want to ask though.
Yes. Let's not pivot.
So there were not quite yet because we have time. And time.
I don't have to go to bed soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're only 23 minutes into this hour-long discussion about this not great movie.
Who said this is going to be a short one?
Brian, I'm going to call you out on this one.
Yeah, please do.
How much of this was green screen? I mean, I kind of mentioned that like a lot of this is all special effects, green screen, blue screen, whatever you want to call it. But there were some practical in-person actors on a set, and it was one set.
Yeah, so
literally one set.
Yeah, extras. I think it was 80% green screen and CG.
Yeah.
And exteriors were maybe 20% of the film.
Yeah.
The math is 15% of the film was green screen,
Yeah.
and then some weird CG crap inside.
Yeah. Inside the space station that was being established.
One set on a soundstage.
Yeah. And it's like, so then not expensive. It's not hard when you're not have to expend. I mean, because it depends on who you're having do that special effect and who this and that. And
It was cheap because the writer, director, and composer were all the same guy.
all the same person. It made it
and
cheap.
probably producer. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say though, we'll give you fair warning. And I saw this in a couple of things, and we actually mentioned this when it was happening. Why the hell are the lights flashing all of a sudden?
That's what I asked. Yeah.
There was a lot of strobe, multiple parts at the end. So if
it was
you
part of the
aren't-
music video vibe.
it was. And if you're not into strobe lights,
That's why they called it window pane.
Yeah.
if you're not into strobe lights, don't watch this film because that happens. And uncomfortably so. It's really like the whole scene. It's not like on the side and it's just affecting. No, the whole screen. It's like on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off.
I'm so grateful that doesn't affect me because I read those warnings for video games all the time and never notice them. I'm just lucky to have that. I'm just bragging, I guess.
Well, I thought it kind of detracted. So, Brian, I remember like a long time ago, you talked about fight scenes and the way they get choreographed. And you can tell if a fight scene tracks in the same shot longer, the actors have to do more work to remember like the choreography of the fight.
Yes,
and it's a kind of a higher bar for performing that way, because then also the camera has to like capture what's the motion. But as a viewer, that's a little bit better because you're able to see and track what the action is.
Track
a little bit
the
better.
Geography of the scene a little better. That
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like in there's a fight scene in this film where like I wasn't even really paying attention to like how many cuts there were. Yeah,
a lot of
because but like the lights started strobing and it was distracting in this fight scene.
I think it was a stylistic choice, a
Yes.
directorial choice, an editorial choice to do fast cuts and not even be in continuity.
Right.
What's kind of a horror thing, right? Like quick cut. At least there's fewer of them, but there's quick cuts when like Jason arrives on the scared co-ed. You get a flash of the knife, flash of her screaming, flash of his mask, flash of stabbing. Like it's sort of a horror thing, but this was excessive.
Yeah, but
It's an attempt to tell the story that this fight is chaotic and and hard for the main character to handle.
But also, like the main character starts out this fight in a hazmat suit, and then
Suddenly she's
1/3 of the way
she
through,
changes costumes.
the hazmat suit is gone, and that's part of why I chose it as my expertise to bring this up. Like that might be an intentional choice to try and speak to the confusion of the narrator, and say that they themselves don't understand the experience they're going through because their own perception is warped. But it also like. I don't know. I think
it's generous.
I see where you're going, Brian, and I actually go like the same place because I think it's a mistake. Because I don't want to give them enough credit.
It's a huge continuity issue.
It is, and like there's other things in this film that kind of undermine my confidence in the filmmakers, like the physical shape of blood splatters or things like that don't make sense.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. So when this woman wakes up, and this is in the first 5 minutes of the film, so it's no spoiler. She wakes up and there's random blood splatter throughout the space station.
The space station they're on. Yeah.
And it doesn't really track with what we've seen in NCIS or CSI, any
But
of
it
the
feels very
forensic shows.
It feels very Dead Space, a phenomenal first-person survival space horror game,
Right?
Where just as you're like floating down a corridor, you see like handprints with smears on the wall, like just for the ambiance.
But I was looking at these blood splatters like a forensic scientist, trying to figure out like what kind of trauma wound would have caused this.
That sounds like a you problem.
It was because I was being too smart for the movie.
Correct. It took some
Blake,
liberty.
They were going for style over substance, and I would say that happened a lot.
No, excellent question. That makes because there are movies that are like high budget or just just movies in general where the blood pooling makes sense and like the splatter it makes sense to as in part of the scene. Yeah,
right. Like, I mean, I think you would think about that when you're putting the blood down.
Yeah, they should. They don't.
Okay,
always.
so there are some scenes where the pooling. And she picks it up and it's pooling and it covers her hands and body and stuff. And then there's other scenes where the fight scenes, it's just a little splatter and it doesn't cover her. And then there are some scenes where it covers just like from the neck up. So it's so super inconsistent in how it treats that situation and interaction. Yes. So again, this movie is told through the guise of someone having flashbacks and trying to remember what's happening. And so it's all mixed up and some of the story isn't in chronological order. It's kind of jumbled because her brain is jumbled.
Yeah, I mean, it mirrors her traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which can be told well. I mean, Memento is like a phenomenal film.
Fantastic.
Like if you think about it, Fight Club's kind of a mental trauma story and they tell that pretty well. But they don't really land it here. They make some big swings. I can see what they're going for. I feel like a little more practice. This director could get really good at this kind of thing.
Right. I'm thinking like there are other movies we've seen where there's a better job visually of trying to explain what's the internal emotional state of a character, and kind of or what's their trauma. I'm even thinking of like, what's that film where we saw where it was like this Meet the Parents situation where there were like two young men that were engaged,
whole, like, millennial.
And they went up to this like thing in the Catskills, this like resort.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was a good sort of ghosty getting. I don't remember.
Yeah, there were
ghosts. That was a good
there were ghosts. I feel like that movie did a better job
You
of
weren't
kind
here
of.
for that one, Brian.
I don't think I
It was a charming film. I really wish I could remember the name of it. That film, I think, did a better job of kind of like showing the anxiety and the fear, but also like the love, the genuine love that these characters had for each other in this like haunted, this like haunted estate where they were going to reveal to their parents that they got engaged. That's like what I remember from the film. And there's ghosts.
So I want to say, if you are a fan of more, and Blake even mentioned this movie feels very Cthulhu-esque. The way that
It reminded me of The Color Out of Space.
Yeah. Very, very, you're aware of your surroundings, but you're not in control, and you don't know what's going on, and you're just there, and then suddenly things happen, and you have flashbacks, and you react to those, which is a traumatic brain injury kind of setting. But I don't know. This film has more issues than I don't know if we can actually like suggest it for people to watch, because I'm just like, what?
It's 4.6 out of 10 on IMDb. I would probably give it a 3.8.
Yeah, it struggles.
I would say if your time is limited, don't watch this.
Unless you want the Mystery Science 3000 experience.
You can MST3K the hell out of this, and we did.
It's not your standard Hollywood film.
No,
I feel like there's more fun.
But if you want to be entertained, watch something else.
Yeah, I feel like there's more fun bad movies out there besides this. This was fine. You could find other stuff.
I've seen a lot of crazy Santa horror films recently that are much more interesting than this one. But
the movie we were trying to remember was The Parenting.
That's right. Thank you.
Brian Cox was the one
the main lead.
That's right.
You got to see naked, or at least a butt shot in it.
I mean, that was a fun movie. The Parenting was a fun movie.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And it did a good job of like showing the shock and fear that these characters. Yeah, we drink beer. That rhymes with.
We drink beer, and they drank some whiskey looking stuff. So I don't think they had any beer though.
I don't know. Probably not beer.
So
when you do space travel, you have to have the lightest, most efficient thing possible. So what do they have?
Whiskey.
Beans.
Oh,
dehydrated beans, and then they rehydrated. And
welcome to Movie and a Bean. We're going to talk about the dark red kidney bean today.
But I mean,
he cooked beans for
and some white beans.
Long distance travel, you have to how do things keep? That's why IPAs were invented.
Correct. IPAs were created for that very reason.
Yeah, because when you ship beer to India, you want it to be good when it finally gets to India,
or vice versa.
Brian's winning the bean game. I'm losing terribly.
Yeah, you are. Okay, so this
is that? Playing Go? What are you doing?
We're trying to name all the beans, and he's named more than I have.
The beans.
Fava, Navy.
Son of a gun. Aaron, you're distracting me.
Garbanzo.
Son of a...
Already been named.
Oh, no.
You lose.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay.
So the punishment is we hit you with beans.
No, it has Great Northern already been cited.
No.
All right, you're back in.
Well done. Back in. All right, we had beer.
All right, so this is the time of the podcast that we're going to switch over to speaking briefly about beer. Interesting movie. So the title of the film that we watched,
Ash.
Can of beans.
ASH. Simple title, 2025. We knew what we were going to watch, and we stopped at Beer Mongers after grabbing some food at a food cart pod, and we picked out a couple of beers. First was the Dark Umbra.
Yes.
Which is classified as a Black IPA, as it's named on the label.
Who does Dark Umbra, Dan?
Oakshire.
Oakshire? Okay. Oakshire Brewing and from Eugene, Oregon. Okay.
Hey.
Way down south. Is there any copy on there you can read, or just Surgeon General warning?
It says keep cold, drink fresh.
And then just intercut like a bunch of scream noises and then like visuals of brains getting smashed.
Okay, so this is a Black IPA.
Like
it challenges your expectations, appearing like a stout, but drinking like an IPA, delivering bold, hop-forward flavors without a strong roast character.
I think we can all agree on that.
Yes. Yeah, it had that. It a little bit of roast, but not too bad.
It matched the copy.
It was made with Simcoe, Citra, and CTZ hops, which provided a good citrus, pine, and tropical fruit mentality. So it is so there is a huge difference between what would you call a black IPA and a Cascadian dark ale. But this one, I think, kind of rides that row really, really, really well. I mean, so it gives you some of the roast and some bitterness from both hops and the malts. So this uses 2-row barley and buckets, as they say on their website, buckets of oats for enhanced mouthfeel. They incorporate Carafa Special 3 and a dark malt made from dehusked barley. So barley's a nice, interesting thing to use. Rye and barley do really strange things when you make beer because they are way more present on the profile, on the flavor, than other kinds of malts.
Rye and barley also sound like two kids who play basketball.
Correct.
I was thinking like that's what you do for like malted stuff. Like, isn't it rye or barley? Like whiskey. There's rye whiskey.
Correct.
Your thing's more correct, but my thing is more esoteric.
Okay, so Brian had asked, like, so what makes why is it a black IPA versus something
Ask
else?
that.
Well, all right.
No, that was
Like erasure.
That
was Blake's question.
There were.
I guess I'm not on the podcast anymore.
We've briefly talked about this in the past on previous episodes, but let's briefly cover.
Yeah, I
it
don't
again.
remember any of that.
They're essentially the same beer. Both are hoppy. Both are dark. The characteristics of an IPA from roasted malt flavor of a stout or a porter. So that would be the CDA, the Cascadian Dark Ale. A black IPA should, from a beer judge standpoint, should just be an IPA that's black and not with additional roasts.
So the flavor profile is going to be exactly the same.
Correct. It's just darker in color.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So you're going to put something in the beer that makes it dark.
But they're all the same. They're all the same on the inside.
Aaron's right. They are all the same on the inside.
Yes and no. But a CDA or Cascadian Dark Ale is going to be more of a piney with the roasty character. So I sort of disagree with them to say that this is a black IPA. I think it's more of a CDA because it has a lot of hop. That roast shows up. Once it warms up, it's just a little bit more, from my perspective, my palate, it tastes a little bit more roasty. You're getting that grain that's there on the back, but that's just me.
There was some intense hop bitterness though in Dark Umbra. Like it was clearly an IPA, and it was not subtle.
It shouldn't be.
I loved it. I like a bitter. I love a strong coffee. I love a coffee ale. This was right up my alley. Yeah. This is really tasty.
I would say it went very well with the film.
It did.
It was, I mean, there's not really a flavor we had, but it was a little ashy. It kind of felt like there was some dark, bitter stuff on your tongue.
Mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. Thank you to Oakshire for having this beer, which it's very successful. I would drink this without even watching the movie, simply because it's got a complex level of flavor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. This really feels like a real Dan kind of beer.
Yeah.
Kind of beer where Dan would like bring you out and say it's not a starter beer and then like hand you a little thingy.
Not a starter beer. Tasters only.
Right.
And then as Blake's 7 beers in, like, I got this, and I get terribly sick.
Yeah.
So when we went into Act 3, we drank our second beer.
Yes. Which is called Little Star from Ale Apothecary. It's a 6.7%-ish. Saison style, aged in oak barrels with heather flowers. And can condition with raw cane sugar. And I had to say that like 3 times because the guy saw it. I was like, what are you saying? I have never heard of can conditioning. I've only heard of bottle conditioning. So this is a really strange thing.
Remind us what bottle conditioning is? Is that like just making it...
So you're cooling down your wort.
Keep talking like I know what you're talking about.
Okay, steps of making beer. You take grains, you put them at a temperature in water, you let them sit for a little bit. Maybe
that's malting.
That's how you make your what's called wort.
Get him, Aaron.
You then add your hops, which adds the bittering agent. You boil it. The reason you boil it is because that's what is required scientifically to allow the proteins and all of the breakdown of the material and the oils and the acids to come out of the hop material into the water. So it's imparting those flavors.
It's how the flavor gets out of the hops and into the water for the beer.
Correct. And then
Delicious.
You cool it off. And once you cool it off, you pitch a yeast and you put it in the fermentation tank. And there are some people who then take that and put that into bottles. After it sat a certain amount of time, there's still yeast sitting in it, so you don't let it sit very long.
The yeast isn't dead yet.
The yeast isn't dead, and so you add what's called priming sugar. And that's what this raw cane sugar is. It's priming sugar. But to do it in a can is weird because the can expands and explodes. Bottles, a little harder to expand and explode. That's why I'm like...
Well, and once it's sealed, there's no more oxygen added to the mix.
Yeah, correct.
So is this a secondary fermentation?
It's a secondary fermentation.
First fermentation would be when the yeast is originally added and it converts the naturally occurring sugars into alcohol.
Correct.
If you're adding cane sugar, you're feeding that yeast even a little bit more.
To get more funky. To get more do whatever it is, whatever bacteria and stuff is in there.
And this is a fairly high alcohol beer, right?
It is.
I'm saying this is my jam. I like this funk.
So 6.7%. I mean, this is lower alcohol than the IPA we had, but not by much. It's higher alcohol. I think they did a good job because it wasn't offensively saison-y. It tasted very open ferment, which gets you... it can go barnyard. This didn't really get barnyard. It just got funky.
Yeah.
It didn't taste like Brettanomyces, which is what you add as a bacteria to get weird, really sharp, funky sourness. This was not that sour.
The smell was a little funky, but not the worst we've had on the show.
Yeah.
But the taste was pretty okay.
And Aaron said it was like a good cheese, a good stinky cheese. The smell is off-putting, but then you're going to taste it and you're like, oh, this isn't that bad. And we all drank it. We all drank it. It made sense. It was like, okay, this wasn't bad. I don't know if it went the movie.
I feel I'm going to go ahead and say my 2 cents.
The can art matched well.
The can art did. It was exactly what actually happened in the movie. We paused it and we're like, oh, here we go. All right, Blake.
Well, I think I'm the only one who thinks I'm not going to bring it home because you're all going to say why I'm wrong. I think it matched the end because like more stuff was happening. A lot of this film was a lot of second guessing, unreliable narrator. Who knows what's actually happening with your couple of horror jumps here and there. But like stuff was happening in the third act, and I feel like this having a big zesty, strong, soury flavor. I love this beer. Like this was.
I love this beer too.
I'm not usually huge on sour, but this was right up my alley. This was really exactly. Maybe it's just perfect after the super hoppy bitter thing, but I loved it, and I think it went with the end of the film just fine. I thought it worked.
All right. No, I mean you bring up some good points.
I will allow it.
You can. At least I get to talk. Thank goodness.
Yeah. There's some interesting flavor profile going on with it. It's dry. The funk isn't obscene. It's not dirty sock. It's more barnyard funk, right?
I was going to say, like, my natural metaphor isn't barnyard or gym socks or anything. It's like funky cheese.
Funky cheese.
I prefer your comparison to Dan saying comparing socks and barnyard to a drink.
I mean, there are some wines where you'll get barnyard.
Like jockstrap.
I don't. That makes me want to not drink it.
Well, I mean, it's like hey,
it's not my jam.
It's like hey,
you know,
like it's a hey. I mean, like barnyard flavors and stuff.
Yeah,
like I don't know. I've never stuck my tongue in the barnyard, but I don't
have you smelled the barnyard? Like
I have.
So then you know. But
I do.
But it's not as unpleasant as it sounds if it's in a beer or a wine. Like you know, it can be kind of herbaceous, but in a nice way.
It's an animal smell.
It tastes like animals.
It tastes like animals.
It tastes like a sheep pen, and you like it.
It smells like a sheep pen, and you're going to enjoy it. Yeah. So,
or else,
I would say out of these two beers, all right. So, if you're a hophead and like a little bit of interesting dark beer, check out the Dark Umbra. If you like some funky but not over funky saison
or sour,
it's not even that sour.
It's a little sour.
It's a little sour, but it drops off quickly.
Yeah.
It's not offensive. That's what I really appreciate is that they've dialed it in. They've dialed it in really well on this beer. And this is, so there is some other marketing copy and stuff. So it's like Link Malt, LINC, and it's a beer that was made for charity, and it's Old Standby Brewing collaboration with Ale Apothecary.
And in Bend, Oregon.
Yeah.
Sorry, I looked directly at the can, and the light image blinded me.
Yeah.
It is a little blinding. It's a little star.
It's a little star.
Don't stare directly at it.
It's just a little, the stare what?
All right.
So
if you're ever in Bend, go check out Ale Apothecary. It's a small little dinky tasting room. The servers that are there really know their stuff. The last time I was down in Bend, that was one of the places we visited, and it was amazing. Like they really want you to try everything they have.
Well, that's good because I want to try everything they have.
And they want you, even if you're not a sour or a funky or open ferment person, they want you to try it all because there's stuff like this that is not offensive. This is very mild. This is very, I guess you would say, entry level. This is not an offensive beer. There are a lot of ones out there that are just like, you don't want to go there unless you know what you're getting into because you're just not going to like it.
Sacrilege.
Well, a lot of the verbiage does scare off, like, I'm using the word normies, which doesn't make any sense. People who don't drink advanced beer, like open ferment sounds dirty.
It does.
It conjures in my mind like, oh, it's just wide open and whatever falls in, falls in. Gross.
I mean, it feels non-pasteurized.
Yeah, exactly. And
Sounds
someone
unclean.
who there's no judgment for me on this because I love me a Rainier, but anyone who like for people who just like drink Bud Light or if they're experimenting, they drink like a Land Shark, which is a very East Coast beer, real lame lager. They're going to hear words like open ferment, funky flavor, socks, barn, and think, oh, I don't want that.
Why would I put that in my mouth?
Yeah, let me drink this delicious Coors Light.
But then you find something in the world like raclette cheese and how awful it smells. But then when you melt it and eat it, it is glorious.
I ain't eating a rock cheese.
No, if you go to Canada or if you go to Europe and you find these like unpasteurized cheeses and how amazing they are, I feel like it's just sometimes there will be a beer that rewards adventurousness, and
this may be one of them.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for TikTok and a cheese, where I make Aaron watch a TikTok when we eat cheese. I'll pick good ones. That's fine.
All right, so
good cheeses or TikToks?
You pick cheese. I pick TikTok.
Sort of not really sour drinker, but kind of sour drinker. I made so this isn't sour. This has a little funk. Your thoughts on approachability for people who are like, I drink kombucha. If you drink kombucha, you're gonna love
kombucha.
Kombucha.
That is garbage water.
It is.
It's not.
But you know somebody who makes it.
Just fermented whatever, right?
Yeah. All right. So
tea.
Both of the beers I would say I enjoyed.
Nice.
Listeners,
neither of them were starter beers.
No.
But neither of them were kind of to the max. They were all toned down from the maximum style.
Yeah.
And they were approachable. They were okay.
Cool. Any other thoughts on those?
I like them.
Everyone shaking their head like, yeah, no.
We have no more thoughts.
We have no more thoughts. Final thoughts on the movie. So
don't bother with it. It's just watch anything else. It's like sci-fi and weird.
Yeah,
their choices.
I did say this is some of the special effects, the green screen, like the spaceships going into space. I was like, oh, this is like Sci-Fi Channel level, like really not well done. Kind of cheesiness. So yeah, check something else out. I mean, this happens. It does happen. But if you're interested in watching something with these actors, by all means, watch it. It's only
watch Breaking Bad. Watch minutes. Baby Doll or Baby Driver.
I mean, this was better than the Leave the World Behind. The Julia Roberts.
That was actually mentioned a few times.
Aaron would not let that go.
This is bad, but not that bad. So this does have, again, interesting lighting. The smaller set scenes that we did see were sort of interesting in some ways.
It does the horror stuff fine.
So the horror, it's a lot of jump scare, horror-y flashback, and it's not really that much gore. There's not a lot of squirting blood other than her flashbacks.
When you say interesting lighting and interesting, are you saying that in the Midwestern sense where interesting means bad?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to clarify for our West Coast listeners.
So there were using a bad word, saying it's good, but really meaning it's bad versus saying it's really bad and then meaning it's actually.
This is why no one likes to learn English as a second language. It's all gibberish.
It's not so good.
Gibberish. Yes. All right, Brian, you had something to say.
Yeah, there were a couple shots and couple sequences of shots that were interesting.
In a good way.
In a good way. Yeah. They were worth watching.
Agreed.
Out of 90 minutes, a couple of scenes.
Overall, if you want to be entertained, choose a different film.
Yeah.
There's other stuff out there. All right. So
but still check out Shudder. Like I hear it recommended all the time. Yeah, it's like the go-to streaming horror service.
A24 and Shudder, they're doing a lot of original content, a lot of horror stuff, a lot of interesting.
If you're into horror, check out Shudder.
This is not a good horror film. It's not a good sci-fi film.
No.
There are better examples of each genre out there.
The Thing, for one.
Yeah.
Alien.
Which this is basically a space the thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we're not going to digress more than that because we don't want to spoil it.
You love
Right.
spoiling stuff.
You love spoiling,
it's
but
all right.
we're not going to do that.
Yeah, but but as always, the opinions expressed in the taping this recording are those of the hosts, and I don't know, you guys. There's water. I mean, we had to rinse between these two beers. We had to rinse
To honor the ship's voice warning system.
sexy voice.
No, Dan, you spoiled it. I was gonna reveal it. Okay, it's fine. If you don't hydrate, you're gonna dehydrate.
Sexy voice. Thanks for listening and hanging out, everybody. We're all laughing at ourselves. We're like, really?
I thought that like while Brian was talking about how the two beers are good. Like, yeah, this will be perfect.
Dear listener, thanks for joining us. Boy, The Thing is such a great movie. You should watch The Thing.
better
It's over 40 years old and still holds up.
holds it.
This is Blake saying it holds up.
This is Brian saying, go watch Dark Matter.
All right. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks for hanging.